Joseph the Animal Barboza was an East Coast criminal hitman that made too many enemies.
Who was Joe Barboza? Joseph the Animal Barboza, a descendant of Portuguese Lisbon-born parents, was the only non-Italian, most feared hitman for the Patriarca clan of the Boston Mafia. Nicknamed the Animal, the Portuguese went by many names and became notorious as the most vicious gangster in Boston, and earned the fearsome title of number 4 on the top 5 most notorious mob hitmen. Legend says he had at least 30 known killings under his belt. As the henchman for the Patriarca family, the Boston clan of the Italian mafia known as La Cosa Nostra. He was the only non-Italian to join the mob because of his ruthless nature and impressive physique. He would brag about having killed 26 people. However, we will never know the exact gruesome figures. I learned about the animal from reading Joanna Emerald Diaz as Cassie Sherman books. Joe was born on September 20, 1932 during the Great Depression. He was the second of 5 children and the son of Camilla Barboza, a waitress, Joe Barboza Jr, a Lisbon native who emigrated to the US in the early 1920s and became a boxing champion. Barboza family struggled to make ends meet. Betty had to steal to provide food for her children. Joe Sr. was a womanizer and a wife-beater who worked as a milkman. He boxed for cash and became a petty criminal and found himself in prison for assault. At a young age, Joe was already working the streets with his fellow urchins. He was first arrested when he was 14 for destroying a store, and at 17 he formed a gang, the Green Pie Bandits, that launched a wave of terror over the Boston area in December 1949. Extreme poverty, an abusive father that shunned his mother and unhappy childhood turned Joe into a beast of a man. His gang rapidly went from shoplifting to burglary, with Barboza as its chief. Joe's education came from Lyman Reform School, a building ground for violence where youngsters had to be tough as nails to get by. Joe was a good student with matching bruised knuckles and a great nickname, the Animal. After being released, he did weightlifting and fought in the boxing ring to move up the ranks. Joe the Animal was in and out of prison until 1958. He needed to earn a living, but the only thing he knew was to fight. He went back to the ring and started a new gang. Barboza Jr and his men got at the eye of the Patriarca family, who brought the crew under their wing. The family Patriarca. Raymond Patriarca wanted to rule the Boston crime scene and defeat his enemies. The Italian kingpin hired Barboza to do it. However, as proof of the Portuguese absolute fidelity, he also asked him to murder some of the former members of his gang. That's how the Portuguese made it to the Italian mafia. He never blinked when the time came to pull the trigger. However, Joe took an oath to never harm women or children. A wave of crimes followed, most of them alcohol-related, including a series of gruesome murders perpetrated by the Animal. However, he wasn't Italian. There was also blood against the Portuguese inside La Cosa Nostra. On the other hand, the FBI Overwatch was also probing Barboza as the Bureau as enlisting whistleblowers in the fight against organized crime. Joe was betrayed by his fellow mobsters and got arrested. Hence, he found himself vowing revenge, namely against La Cosa Nostra godfather Raymond Patriarca, who signed Joe's death sentence by issuing an assassination decree. Barboza spilled the tea to the FBI, and when the word came out that the Animal snitched, it was deemed a canary and a pariah. Joe testified in court in 1967 and enrolled in the Witness Protection Program. The mob Patriarca was arrested, and the Burrow Trojan horse approach to bringing down the mafia proved highly effective. Betrayed by an alleged friend, Joe was 43 at the time, was gunned down on February 11, 1976 on the street outside his San Francisco residence, in what seemed to be an execution style hit by the Boston Mafia. Joe Barboza's funeral was held in New Bedford.